This is the Archangel 2210 here to give you another video review, and I'm going to give you part 2 of my Wonder Woman series. I'm going to review season 2 of the Wonder Woman series. Now, in season 2, a lot of things were changed because from season 1 to season 2, it actually was on a different channel, and there was I think a little bit of a hiatus. So it changed from one channel to another. So Leslie, when they made that change, because in the season 1 it was pretty much a period piece. It took place in the 1940s, and anything in general, if it's a period piece, especially if it's like a 30-year gap, it is a little more expensive, which is why when they bought it in season 2, they decided to make it more in the modern age, which at the time was the 70s. So it has more of a 70s feel to it. It's in the modern time. So it starts off that Steve Trevor, who is technically he's Steve Trevor Jr. It's supposed to be his son, and they established that in the premiere of the episode, but all throughout the rest of the season they don't say Junior, which kind of gets me a little bit angry and confused, because at some points they almost make references that he's the same Steve Trevor, and he's not. He's supposed to be Steve Trevor's son. So they should have said Steve Trevor Jr. That's just that's just how I feel. They should have said Steve Trevor Jr. They just kept saying Steve Trevor. So for some people, I'm sure it might have been a little bit confusing. But anyway, his plane crashes onto Paradise Island again, and it's like a different organization of people that's trying to take over the world and into darkness and everything. Now this time, and they kind of don't reference why Wonder Woman went back to Paradise Island. They don't. They kind of just like lift it up in the air and just kind of they kind of leave it up to conclusion. Okay, she continued to help fight alongside Steve Trevor. She probably, helped them win the World War II, and probably after that she went back to Paradise Island. But it would have been nice that they've had a little line of dialogue or something to explain why she went back to Paradise Island, other than, she wouldn't have aged at all. So, the last time she was in the United States, it was 1940s. And then she comes back, it's 1975, 1976. So, of course, prices have gone up, rent and everything. So, it's like, that was a little bit, it was fun to see that whole thing where, so in this, they redesigned the costume, which I like. Like it is more like modern, but the main reason why they redesigned the costume, you could see in the picture, I don't know if people were complaining, but it was basically the chest plate in season 1. It kind of had this bullet protrusion, and kind of gave her these. It basically made her gave her the kind of protrusion out on her metal bra. So they basically redesigned it so it wasn't so pronounced, and I like the original costume. I thought it was really much, pretty much just right out of the comic book, and I really didn't look at it that way. But I guess they've had some complaints, or some people just decided to change it. So they changed the costume, and they didn't just change that. They changed the belt. They changed the whole costume itself, and they even changed the bracelets. They made them out of gold this time around. So they tweaked a few things here and there, and they recast the mother. So in total, they had 3 different actresses play Hippolyta in the series. In season 1, they had in the pilot they had Cloris Leachman playing Hippolyta in the pilot, and she's a tiny lady. And then in the Feminine Mystique, they had the woman who played Morticia in the Addams Family. She played her for like a couple episodes, and then in season 2 they brought in another actress to play her who's actually a redhead. So it's like a little bit inconsistent, but I'll roll with it. The one thing that I didn't like is that there was no reference to Wonder Girl, aka Drusilla, from season 1 to season 2. She kind of just evaporated and disappeared, and they never mentioned her ever again at all in the series. Like, there was no mention that she just decided to stay in Paradise Island and focus on her studies or anything. I don't care if you're gonna cast someone else, just some mention of Wonder Girl, like why she's not there at all. Now, in this one, they introduced the concept of computers. Now, nowadays we have the really sleek, modern laptop computers, very compact, even our phones, they have computers on them. So, we're used to, like, compact, small computers. So, it's fun to watch this show and looked at the very first computers, had, like, these huge, towering blocks and things, and it had a huge room that was just like one big computer, and that was supposed to be the first computer that they had in the thing, and I was like, oh, that is so funny. It is just that alone. It kind of makes me laugh of how they thought computers were going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it become like this big towering thing, and now it's like this small little laptop. It's like it's that for that alone. It's like it's kind of funny. But this time around, since Diana was Wonder Woman, she had the Wonder Mantle. This time around, they didn't do the whole tournament as they did in the first one, but they kind of, since it was season 2 and they wanted to kind of almost, it was basically redoing the pilot all over again. They did have it where one of the other Amazons challenged Diana for a bullets and bracelets tournament, where they just basically, she challenged her for the mantle of Wonder Woman. And it wasn't, it wasn't, of course. Oh my god, I'm bad with names today. What is wrong with me? It wasn't a famous Amazon character, just a random Amazon character who wanted the mantle, and it basically reflecting the bullets. Now, this time around, her mother gave her gold for spending money when she got to America, and she would work with Steve Trevor Jr. Now, unlike in the season 1, there was a little bit of a love interest that they played with Diana and Steve in season 1, all throughout season 1. And I really like that. I really like that little thing that they played with. And, like in the very beginning, the first couple episodes, they hit that on, like, really hard. And then, like, a few episodes later on, that she had feelings for him. But in season 2, with his son, they kind of just threw that all out the window. And I felt, they could have dabbled on that a little bit, that she had feelings for him, that she reminded him of Steve that she fought with before, and like they could have played on that a little bit, and that's Steve Trevor Jr. He knew of Wonder Woman because, of course, his father was Steve Trevor. He told her all the stories. He told his son about all the stories of Wonder Woman, that he fought alongside with her in the war and everything. So he knew about the lasso. He knew about that, but he just thought that she was just a myth. So in the 35 years that she was gone, the legend of Wonder Woman became a myth. So when she came back in the 70s, in the real world, they thought this isn't real. She's got to be a myth. She's got to be a robot. They're like, what's the deal? So she does have a few good villains in here in season 2. Again, random rogues villains that they created just for the show. It would have been great if they've had, Ares or Cersei or Cheetah. It would have been nice to see Cheetah pop in and, I will get you, Wonder Woman. Some sort of physical person that could be like a nemesis to Wonder Woman. It would have been great to do that, but I like the redesign of the costume. I like bringing her in the modern age, because I don't know, I'm torn. I kind of would have liked them to keep it in the 1940s, because there's a huge chunk of time that we missed in that 35-year gap from season 1 to season 2. they didn't really explain why she went back to Paradise Island. They didn't explain why Steve Trevor never married, Diana, because he was also developing feelings for Diana, Diana Prince, Wonder Woman's secret identity. He was falling for her as well. So it's like the question is, who does Steve Trevor marry? Who's Steve Trevor's mother? And all that. Like, there's a lot of unanswered questions from season 1 to season 2 that kind of don't get acknowledged at all. Along with what happened to Wonder Girl. I know she went and had a full movie career after her appearance as Wonder Girl, but there's no dialogue, there's nothing. It's almost as if the character never existed. She only existed in 3 episodes in season 1, and that is it. She's never referenced ever again in the show. Now in season 2, they do bring back Ambrose, the alien that was in season 1 in the 1940s, and since he's immortal and all that stuff, they have it where it's supposed to be the same character. And he was more of a love interest for her. Now, they could have played that up a little bit more. All in all, this was a great season. It was very witty. In this one, Diana came out of her shell a little bit more. Diana Prince herself. She had more of a sense of humor. She had more. She came into her own, into becoming a modern woman. She had a sense of style, sense of humor, and I really liked that, because before, as Diana Prince, she was focused on the job and doing what was good and what was right, and that's fine. But you gotta have fun too. So I really like the fact that she was still Wonder Woman, but she also, as Diana Prince, she had she had fun, and she had a sense of humor. So all in all, I think this is probably, I would rate this a 7 out of 10, mainly because it's a lot of unanswered questions. A 7 out of 10. And this is definitely a must-have, because continuation, and it goes into, from the 1940s to the 1970s, the modern age at the time, remember. Modern for at the time. 7 out of 10, Wonder Woman, complete second season.